his teacher to die again. What exactly did Pavilion Master N.A.N do wrong to deserve having to clean up after you, Huo Yuhao? Du Guyan, no way, what is going on in Huo Yuhao's head? He moved 3 Spirit Master Legions directly into his own personal space. Bing Bing is polite, he claimed it was for Shrek, but then turned around and stripped the academy of all its assets. BB Dong, what a loyal and righteous, good disciple, exhausting his own teacher to death. Is this how he repays Pavilion Master N.A.N? Most loyal believer of the Sea God Yin-Yang complementary dual soul core. Does he have no idea of his own limits? He just had to touch something with such ridiculously high risk. Calm and composed, honestly, I am very calm and composed right now, but I really can't handle this scene. The Sun Moon Empire is about to attack their doorstep, and he has taken all the troops away. Hot girl, I give up. This isn't defending the city, this is opening the gates for the enemy. Needle-tailed Swift, condense the second soul core if you must, but did you have to make it so complicated? When things go wrong, you call for your teacher to save you. How is this any different from causing trouble and running to your parents? I am an orphan. That sliver of Pavilion Master N.A.N's soul could have lasted a while longer, but now it's all gone. I just want to ask, was it worth it? Goddess of Light calling him reckless is giving him too much credit. Is this recklessness? This is making the entire Shrek pay the price for his own impulsiveness. Du Guyan, the key is, does he have any self-awareness? The Sun Moon Empire is eyeing them like a tiger, and he still dares to do this. Bing Bing is polite, ultimately, it's just selfishness. His words are full of righteousness, but every action is sabotaging his own people. BB Dong, the teacher uses his life to fill the hole for him, and the academy uses its foundation to be buried with him. Huo Yuhao's move is truly a masterpiece. Calm and composed, I tried to find an excuse for him, but sorry, I can't find one. Hot girl, does he actually think he's saving the world? Wake up, you almost tore your own home apart. Needle-tailed Swift, the most miserable one is still Pavilion Master N.A.N, a lifetime of fame, only to be exhausted to death by his own disciple in the end. I am an orphan, to put it bluntly. This kind of disciple is better off not having one at all. Most loyal believer of the Sea God teacher, indeed. I think he is the most loyal sucker for Huo Yuhao. Duluo Tuera. In the Shrek Academy female dormitory. He put 3 Spirit Master Legions into his personal space and forgot to take them out. Wang Donger's voice was so sharp it was almost distorted. That's 3 whole legions. The Sun Moon Empire is attacking their doorstep, and he carried Shrek's entire foundation on his person, and then, forgot. Can such a thing be forgotten? What exactly is in his head? Xiao Xiao gripped the corner of her quilt tightly, her face pale. If it really delays things, and Shrek City has no legions to use, the Sun Moon Empire could just trample the academy flat. Does he even know what he's doing? He doesn't know, Wang Donger sneered, he only knows about his yin-yang complementary dual soul core. Is he really that confident he can succeed? Where does this confidence even come from? And what was the result? The result is that his teacher, Pavilion Master N.A.N, was killed because of him. The man could have lived a few more years inside the golden tree, but he was forced to death by him. Tanga leaned against the window, her voice low, I have spent the longest time at Shrek. Senior Pavilion Master N.A.N, who worked his whole life for the academy, was finally sealed into the golden tree to prolong his life, just so he could protect the academy for a few more years. Such an old man, killed by his own student. Just thinking about it makes my heart feel like it's being cut by a knife. It's such a tragedy. Wang Donger gritted her teeth, a disaster. This person is a disaster. Wherever he goes, the people around him fall. Xiao Xiao sighed, helpless. Tanga also sighed and said nothing. In the special space. Huo Yuhao looked at the light screen, feeling cold all over. She had finished watching it again. She had finished watching another account of her son's future. She had finished watching once more how Huo Yuhao made mistakes, how he implicated others, and how he let those around him bear the consequences for him. This time, it was a human life. It was the life of a highly respected senior. Yuhao. Her voice was so hoarse it was barely audible. How did mother teach you back then? Mother told you since you were little to be steady, to be calm, to think clearly about the consequences. Have you forgotten everything? Her fingers gripped the corner of her clothes tightly. This senior Pavilion Master N.A.N, at a glance, is an extremely righteous and kind person, a senior who has made great contributions to humanity's spirit masters. He was your teacher in reality, not an outsider, but your teacher, and in the end, he died because of you. Her voice began to tremble. Can you really accept this kind of thing? Your teacher gave his life for you, can you really live with that in your heart? She closed her eyes, and tears slid down silently. She looked at the various deeds of her son's future on the light screen, watching him transform step by step into that person, selfish, reckless, headstrong, making everyone's heart break for him. She didn't know what to say anymore. Despair, only despair remained. Huo Yuhao buried her face in her palms, her shoulders trembling, and she didn't make another sound. Chapter 236, The Soul Spirit suffers, he doesn't care. He just wants to share his spirit core. On the light screen. Whether Huo Yuhao can accept it or not, the critique is far from over. Although it's nearing the end, and the plot for Huo the protagonist has reached the late stage, did you really think those were all the points to criticize about Huo the protagonist? Let's just say, do you have any idea how Huo Yuhao got this second spirit core? That was exchanged for the life of your teacher, Pavilion Master N.A.N. And what happened? You turned around and practically wanted to give this thing away as a gift. You really don't feel any heartache, do you? If Old Man Pavilion Master N.A.N knew you were using it like this, he wouldn't be able to keep his coffin lid down. I exchanged my old life for such a wife first, love-addled brain. Let's talk about that seal on Tang San, didn't you claim it could guard against all malice? When Long Xiaoyao was bullying Huo Yuhao back then, this seal played dead. When Death Qi invaded Tang, this seal was still playing dead. So when does it actually trigger? Oh, only when the young couple is being intimate, right? Isn't this just a chastity belt? What's there to be embarrassed about admitting? And you call it protection. What exactly are you protecting? Protecting your daughter from being touched by your son-in-law. What's wrong with people complaining that Tang San has double standards? Isn't this the definition of double standards? Then Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python came up with an idea. Have Huo Yuhao give his spirit core to Tang to help her condense our second spirit core. Just listen to that. Is this saving Tang or are they eyeing someone else's spirit core? Back when Huo Yuhao condensed his second spirit core, what kind of situation was that? Pavilion Master N.A.N directly sacrificed himself. The price paid was his life. Now that you, Tang say you want it, you just lightly say, give it to her, as if this spirit core was picked up off the side of the road. And Titan Giant Ape made it so clear, if he gives it away, there's a high probability that Huo Yuhao will die. Not, possibly, but, extremely high probability, almost 100%. This isn't charity, this is handing over his head. And Huo Yuhao's choice. My wife is important, it doesn't matter if I die. Quote. Wow, how deep, how devoted, truly moving, right? But I just want to ask one thing, what about those soul spirits inside your body? Who is it that patted their chest and promised them, I will lead you to become gods, I will protect you? Now that your wife has an issue, the soul spirits are supposed to be buried with you, right? Without these soul spirits cultivating you, you wouldn't even be able to touch the edge of a second spirit core. What would you use to save Tang then? They are the stepping stones for you to become a god, yet the first thing you do after becoming a god is take your stepping stones and jump off a cliff together. And what about Wang Chuer? You cried so heart-wrenchingly back then, swearing you would become a god to resurrect her. And the result, now you're actively throwing your life away for Tang and Wang Chuer's resurrection plan is just shelved. Oh, so Wang Chuer's life doesn't count as a life, just waiting for whenever you feel like remembering her. Can this resurrection KPI be extended indefinitely? Look again at your promise to Shrek Academy. I will definitely grow up, protect the Duluo continent, and deal with the Sun-Moon Empire, you said that yourself, right? Now, for the sake of Tang life and death don't matter, and the Academy's affairs. The continent's affairs, all of them take a backseat. Weren't those teachers good to you? How many times have those seniors saved you? What have you returned to them? Just say, I don't owe them anything anymore, and that's it. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. Of course, in the end, Tang San definitely couldn't let Huo Yuhao actually die, so he secretly stepped in to save him, and even called it, passing the test. Wait, you call this a test? What if your hand slipped for 0.01 seconds? Your son-in-law would be gone for real, and wouldn't your daughter hate you for the rest of her life? This operation is ridiculous. It's like a teacher watching a student jump off a building, grabbing them at the last 10 centimeters, and saying, I was just testing your courage. Are you testing their courage or their luck? After the spirit core was given, Tang also got a cheat, the couple became twice as powerful, and they even conveniently rescued Ma Xiaotao. After finishing this job, Huo Yuhao turned to Tang and expressed affectionately, I've helped the academy, I've saved the people, I've done enough. From now on, I just want to live my life with you, and I won't care about anything else. Quote. Fine, you've gone off to fly together with your beauty. The Sun-Moon Empire was just beaten back, once, was the root problem solved. If they come back to attack again, will you care or not? Or are you planning to perform the spirit core donation technique, again when that time comes? What about those teachers who cultivated you? What about those seniors who risked their lives for you? What did you give them? You want to turn the page with just a, I don't know them. This level of thick skin probably couldn't even be broken through by Huo Yuhao's spirit ability. To put it plainly, after this whole series of operations by Huo Yuhao, it looks like deep affection and devotion on the surface, but in reality it's heartless and ungrateful. He doesn't care about the soul spirits, he doesn't care about Wang Chuer, he doesn't care about his teachers, he doesn't care about the academy, he doesn't care about the continent, he only cares about Tang Wedong. And yet, some people still praise him as a peerless good man. Is this what a peerless good man is? Does the whole world owe him something, except for his wife? For this operation, I can only say, it's even more outrageous than Tang San, it truly is a case of the student surpassing the master. So, after I've written these 800 words, it all boils down to one sentence. Huo Yuhao, besides Tang Wedong, can you even fit a single other person in your heart? This is one of the most disgusting things about Huo Yuhao, the forced attempt to create a so-called devoted persona. When Song Yu watched Duluo Dalui in his past life, he could tell right away. The author definitely capitalized on the pure love dividends from the first Duluo, so in Duluo Dalui, they were desperate to mold Huo Yuhao into a pure-hearted persona. In reality, the author themselves likes to write harems, and Huo Yuhao's relationships with those girls were always ambiguous. The result is that they can only rely on such forced misery and forced sacrifices by Huo Yuhao to make it seem like he loves Tang Wedong, the female lead. In reality, this actually lowers Huo Yuhao's stature, revealing only Huo Yuhao's selfishness and irresponsibility. On this level, he is indeed much worse than Tang San, at least Tang San wasn't this disgusting during the first duo. The other female characters, watching the critique, also shook their heads and complained helplessly, full of disgust. Du Guyan, so who was this seal actually guarding against? It played dead when Long Xiaoyao was bullying people, and it played dead when Death Ji entered her body. Bing Bing is polite, it triggers the moment Huo Yuhao gets close, what is this if not a chastity belt? Tang San must treat his daughter like a security door. Bibi Dong, the most ridiculous part is the plan proposed by those two spirit beasts, exchanging Huo Yuhao's life for Wadong's life, and they said it as casually as buying groceries. Sorry, readers, I forgot to release the chapter early this morning. The author works during the day and writes at night. I just realized that I forgot to set the automatic release for what I wrote yesterday evening. Occasionally the author might forget, but it's definitely not a hiatus, so rest assured, readers. Chapter 237, Long Xiaoyao and Yi Qishui, no wrongdoing. Huo the protagonist, how can you say that? Most loyal believer of the sea god, his teacher traded their life for that second soul spirit, and you just take it like that. And you even add, you're in danger, oh. Calm and composed, isn't this obviously forcing someone to throw their life away? And Huo Yuhao actually intends to do it. Hot girl, what about those soul spirits? You promised to help them become gods, but now that your wife is in trouble, their lives don't matter anymore. Needle-tailed swift Wang Chuer is still waiting in the heavens to be resurrected, yet he turns around and tries to get himself killed. Is this called devotion? This is called amnesia. I am an orphan, he's even more ruthless to his teacher. The path his teacher paved with their life, you used to gamble for your wife. His teacher wouldn't be able to keep their coffin lid down. Auspicious snow in the forest, how many resources did Shrek Academy spend to nurture him? How many times did his seniors save him? And he thinks he doesn't owe them anything just because he repelled one attack. Du Guyan, does he even believe what he's saying? I have a wife now, so what does it matter to me if the world is destroyed? His face is truly ugly. Bing Bing is polite, the funniest part is Tang San saying at the end, the test has been passed. He nearly played his son-in-law to death, and then thought his education was quite successful. Bibi Dong, what a perfect match for a family. Huo Yuhao is responsible for giving, Tang San is responsible for taking, and Tang Wedong is responsible for being saved. It's a closed loop. Bibi Dong, I can only say, although I don't like that dog Tang San, looking at it this way, Huo Yuhao is indeed so much more disgusting than Tang San, I don't even know by how much tilde. The other female characters watched and nodded as well, filled with emotion. Tang San's disgusting nature, at least in the Duluo era, wasn't that exaggerated. But Huo Yuhao's disgusting behavior was not restrained at all, and the volume of it was far, far greater. Even Huo Yuner, who was in a special space, or Wang Donger and the others at Shrek Academy, seeing such content, felt helpless, disgusted, and just wanted to complain. But even so, the sharp commentary on the light screen was far from over. All the characters continued to watch the content on the light screen while feeling disgusted. On the light screen. That day at the restaurant, Huo Yuhao ran into Long Xiaoyao. Good heavens, another case of enemies crossing paths. Huo Yuhao's attitude was quite respectful. After all, he knew the other party didn't intentionally harm him back then, so he showed the proper courtesy. Since you know he's not a bad person, why don't you ask him what he means by following the Holy Spirit cult and harming the common people? When asked this, Long Xiaoyao couldn't save face, so he began to tell a story, the story of his love triangle with Pavilion Master N.A.N and Yi Qishui back in the day. Here it comes, the specialty of the Duluo continent, love triangles, guaranteed quality, never absent. When Long Xiaoyao and Pavilion Master N.A.N were young, one was a dark sacred dragon and the other a radiant sacred dragon. They became best friends after fighting. Radiant sacred dragon and dark sacred dragon, what a Chunabu setting, what a great brotherhood. Later, they met Yi Qishui at a spirit master competition. The girl's strength was no less than theirs, so the three of them traveled the continent together. It was such a good script for a passionate adventure, but it had to veer into romance. As a result, as they traveled, they both fell in love with Yi Qishui. Did you two coordinate this? Out of everyone, you had to like the same person. Yi Qishui chose Pavilion Master N.A.N, and Long Xiaoyao left in sorrow. It was just a heartbreak, was it really that big of a deal? You're a dark sacred dragon, for heaven's sake. The truly disgusting part is yet to come. Yi Qishui thought Pavilion Master N.A.N was too old-fashioned and a blockhead, and she wanted to take things further with him. Wanting to take things further with your boyfriend, isn't that a good thing? Just say it directly. Pavilion Master N.A.N didn't dislike you. If you had just acted spoiled and shed 2 tears, would he not have agreed? She didn't. She insisted on using that kind of drug, the kind of stuff everyone knows about. You're a top-tier spirit master, and you need to use drugs on your own boyfriend. How is this any different from an evil soul master? Then the fun part comes. That night, the person who walked into Yi Qishui's room wasn't Pavilion Master N.A.N, but Long Xiaoyao. Long Xiaoyao, why are you sneaking into a couple's room in the middle of the night? To play chess with Pavilion Master N.A.N. Would it kill you to knock before entering? After entering the room and seeing Yi Qishui's state, Long Xiaoyao could have clearly left, he could have clearly controlled himself. He is a limit Duluo, doesn't he have even that bit of self-control? I couldn't control myself, the classic excuse. A limit Duluo can't control his lower body. He heard Yi Qishui's voice and chose not to leave. If you had just slammed your head into the wall back then, I would have respected you as a man. Fine, the incident happened, and Pavilion Master N.A.N and Long Xiaoyao broke off completely. Long Xiaoyao felt sorry for Yi Qishui and decided to follow her and join the Holy Spirit cult, helping the villain ever since. You feel sorry for Yi Qishui, so you help her harm others. What kind of bullshit logic is this? Then you also feel sorry for Pavilion Master N.A.N, so why didn't you help Pavilion Master N.A.N eliminate evil soul masters and uphold justice? One path leads to darkness and one to light, and you chose the dark one. Doesn't this just show that you weren't a good person to begin with? Stop using deep affection as an excuse. Alright, the story is finished. Long Xiaoyao probably felt ashamed himself, lowered his head, didn't say a word, and then left. And then the most infuriating part comes. After hearing this, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wadong think that none of these three people were wrong. Huo Yuhao, what did you say? Say that again. Huo Yuhao said that Long Xiaoyao liked Yi Qishui too much, so it was normal that he didn't leave when that happened. Like her, just because you like her, you can take advantage of the situation and have relations with her. Yi Qishui knew Pavilion Master N.A.N's character was too old-fashioned, so it was not wrong for her to want to use drugs to take things further. You want to take things further with your boyfriend, so you can drug him. How is this any different from a rapist? You say none of the three were wrong, so Long Xiaoyao wasn't wrong. Yi Qishui wasn't wrong. Pavilion Master N.A.N was cuckolded by his brother, schemed against by his partner, and in the end, he has to be told by you that everyone was right. Pavilion Master N.A.N, did I wear this green hat for nothing? Huo Yuhao, having traveled this road, seen evil soul masters do evil, and seen innocent people die tragically, is this all your moral compass amounts to? Long Xiaoyao did you a favor, so you can help justify all this bullshit. This isn't called tolerance, this is called having no bottom line. And you call yourself the pupil of Asura? You should just rename it to the pupil of double standards. Tang Wadong didn't say a word on the side, probably led astray by Huo Yuhao. You two are truly a match made in heaven, with your warped values aligned. Anyway, I've understood the worldview of the Duluo continent. As long as it involves romance, any moral bottom line can be set aside. Drugging is fine, taking advantage of the situation is fine, sleeping with your brother's woman is fine, everything is understandable. Say in your eyes, as long as it's under the banner of love, any dirty deed can be forgiven. With these values, even an evil soul master would call you an expert. Chapter 238, The Truth of Pavilion Master N.A.N's Love Triangle. Yi Qishui played them both. Du Guyan, I give up. After hearing this mess, Huo Yuhao actually said none of the three were wrong. Du Guyan were his values chewed on by an evil soul master. Bing Bing is polite, a logic genius. Yi Qishui drugging him wasn't wrong, Long Xiaoyao taking advantage of the situation wasn't wrong, so where was Pavilion Master N.A.N wrong? Was it wrong to be too much of a gentleman? Calm and composed, actually, I can understand Huo Yuhao. After all, his own romantic history is a mess, so sympathizing with scumbags is right up his alley. Hot girl hilarious. Long Xiaoyao's line, I couldn't control myself, is the most disgusting part. You, a limit Duluo, couldn't control yourself. Who are you trying to fool? Needle-tailed Swift, simply put, it's hypocrisy. Talking about guilt while his body was very honest. Afterward, he used, I'm sorry, as a shield to become an evil soul master. What a spineless person. I am an orphan, the most miserable one is Pavilion Master N.A.N, right? Backstabbed by a brother, drugged by a lover, and in the end, he was the only clean one, yet Huo Yuhao whitewashed it all with a single, none of them were wrong. Auspicious snow in the forest, actually, Yi Qishui is also quite absurd. You wanted to get closer to your boyfriend, but instead of communicating, you drugged him. In modern times, you'd be calling the police. Du Guyan and Long Xiaoyao helped Yi Qishui hurt people, with the excuse that he felt sorry for her. Du Guyan, if you felt sorry for Pavilion Master N.A.N, why didn't you help Shrek wipe out the evil soul masters? Just bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Calm and composed at the end of the day, these two, one drugging, one picking up the scraps, are a perfect match. It was a good thing Pavilion Master N.A.N got disgusted and left. Hot girl Huo Yuhao even sympathized with them, saying things like, it's normal not to leave because you like them too much. Hot girl, then I like money too much, so robbing a bank is also normal, right? Bing Bing is polite. After watching this love triangle, my head is full of question marks. Is Duluo continent a wholesale market for love triangles? How does everyone have one? Needle-tailed Swift, the key is that Tang Wadong was nodding in agreement on the side. Fine, birds of a feather flock together. I am an orphan. Summary. Long Xiaoyao is the classic example of having your cake and eating it too. Yi Qishui is a love-struck fool who ignores the law, and Huo Yuhao is using his empathy in the wrong place. I am an orphan. Pavilion Master N.A.N. What kind of sins did I commit in my past life? In a special space. Huo Yuhao stared at the light screen, her fingers clenched until they turned white. He is speaking up for evil soul masters. She muttered. Long Xiaoyao, Yi Qishui, those two are evil soul masters. They killed so many people, harmed so many people. Yuhao, how can you speak up for them? Her voice rose. You actually think they did nothing wrong in terms of their relationship? Huo Yuhao pressed her hand against her chest. One used drugs for selfish desires, the other slept with his brother's woman out of lust. This isn't wrong. Yuhao, you know clearly that it was wrong, yet you still want to make excuses for them, still want to say they had their reasons. She thought of her son when he was young, and tears finally fell. Where did I go wrong in raising you? She raised her hand to wipe away the tears, wiping very hard. If you think those two did nothing wrong, if you think that for the sake of relationships you can disregard so many lives. She stopped, her lips trembling a few times. Then I, back then, might as well have not given birth to you. Her voice turned cold. If you go astray, how much disaster will you bring to this world in the future? When evil soul masters harm people, at least they know they are harming people. What about you? Do you still think you are doing good deeds? She laughed softly, a sound more heartbreaking than crying. A villain who thinks they are doing good deeds is 10,000 times more terrifying than a villain themselves. Huo Yu Hao, you have disappointed me too much. Duluo Tu Era. Holy Spirit Cult. Yi Qishui leaned back in her chair, having finished watching the light screen. She laughed, a cold laugh squeezed from her nasal cavity. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. That kid, Huo Yu Hao, actually spoke up for me and Xiaoyao. He said we were not wrong in our relationship. She stood up and continued speaking to the empty hall. I, Yi Qishui, have killed countless people in this life, the blood on my hands can never be washed clean. I never expected anyone to say, you were right, to me. She turned around, the corners of her mouth curling into a sarcastic arc. I know myself that I did wrong. The matter between me and Xiaoyao was wrong from the very beginning. How many heinous things have I done? Those innocent people, those wrong souls who died at my hands, do you think they deserved it? Her voice was as cold as the wind in the 12th lunar month. But you, Huo Yu Hao, are better than that. You are even more understanding than me, an evil soul master. I commit murder and arson, and you say I have my reasons. I don't even dare to say I wasn't wrong, yet you took it upon yourself to clear my name completely. Yi Qishui snorted coldly. As an evil soul master, I still know that the things I do are shameful. If I did wrong, I did wrong, I don't need anyone to make excuses for me. You, on the other hand, have values even more twisted than mine. I used drugs, and I knew it was wrong. You speak up for me, and you even think it's a good deed. Her voice carried a strange sense of disgust. When we evil soul masters do things, at least we are openly evil. What about you? You speak up for evil soul masters while putting on a compassionate face. Even I, an evil soul master, find your values twisted. After saying this, Yi Qishui shook her head in disgust again. This Huo Yu Hao indeed did not look like a normal spirit master, nor did he look like a good person. No wonder he had been critiquing everything along the way, and the critiques hadn't ended yet, that made sense. Yi Qishui continued to watch the light screen, wanting to see what other unimaginable things this Huo Yu Hao could do. On the light screen, the critique continued. Continued talking about just how twisted Huo Yu Hao's values can get. Before, when I thought Long Xiaoyao and Yi Qishui weren't wrong in their relationship, I already thought it was absurd enough. But what happened later proved that was just an appetizer. The story goes like this: in order to deal with the Holy Spirit cult, Huo Yu Hao and the others had to take down Yi Qishui and Long Xiaoyao, those two limit Duluo. Emperor Shu Tianren of the Sun Moon Empire also wanted to eliminate Yi Qishui, so he set a trap that blew her physical body to pieces. Of course, Yi Qishui herself said it was because she didn't want to live anymore, otherwise, who could stop a limit Duluo? Then came the main event. Before dying, Long Xiaoyao and Yi Qishui ran into Huo Yu Hao and the others. Long Xiaoyao wanted to pass his lifelong cultivation to Huo Yu Hao, and Yi Qishui wanted to pass hers to Tang Wedong. At this moment, Yi Qishui dropped a shocking bombshell, the truth about that love triangle. Yi Qishui said that she was originally the holy maiden of the Holy Spirit cult, controlled by the previous sect master. She had two spirits, one evil one used in the Holy Spirit cult, and the other was a bright phoenix. She approached Long Xiaoyao and Pavilion Master N.A.N under duress, with the goal of eliminating these two spirit masters who had the most potential. But she had feelings for both and didn't want them to be killed, so she came up with a plan, to be with Pavilion Master N.A.N first, then deliberately have a relationship with Long Xiaoyao, making the two turn against each other because of her. Chapter 239, Whitewashing Yi Qishui. Can a pure evil soul master be whitewashed? She even said that she actually liked Long Xiaoyao all along, and that Pavilion Master N.A.N was too dull. Hearing this, Long Xiaoyao collapsed. You liked me from the very beginning. Good grief, does Long Xiaoyao suddenly think that sleeping with someone else's girlfriend was the right thing to do? This logic is just too moving. Honestly, this plot has left me completely baffled. Yi Qishui, if you truly like Long Xiaoyao, couldn't you have broken up with Pavilion Master N.A.N first? You were still carrying the title of his girlfriend while sleeping with someone else, isn't that just cheating? Regardless of whether you like Long Xiaoyao or not, in terms of actions, this was an out-and-out betrayal. And that, protection plan, I really have to laugh. All three of you had top-tier talent, and Pavilion Master N.A.N was a direct descendant of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. If you had just found a place to cultivate properly and waited until you became titled Duluo, what would you have to fear from the former leader of the Holy Spirit cult? Did you really have to pull this melodramatic love triangle to protect them? Were you out of your mind to come up with such a terrible idea? And you actually felt aggrieved and noble? Fine, let's put these old debts aside for a moment, the most disgusting part is yet to come. Long Xiaoyao and Yi Qishui were about to transfer their power, and Tang Wedong said she didn't want the spirit power of an evil soul master. At this moment, Yi Qishui started to whitewash herself. My body has been destroyed, I am now an energy form, and all my sins have vanished along with that body. Listen to that, is that even human speech? You killed so many people and caused the deaths of so many innocents, and just because your body is gone, your sins are gone too. Does that mean if I owe a debt, I don't have to pay it back just by tearing up the IOU? Does a criminal stop being a criminal just by erasing their fingerprints? What kind of bullshit logic is this? The key is, everyone present actually believed it. Tang Wadong believed it and absorbed the spirit power with peace of mind. Huo Yuhao nodded, thinking there was nothing wrong with it. Long Xiaoyao was moved to tears. Even Tang San in the God realm was clapping and cheering along. Was everyone in that room issued the same warped set of values? They're all crooked in perfect unison. To put it bluntly, weren't you all just after Yi Qishui's bit of spirit power? If you wanted it, just say so. Why go through the trouble of this forced whitewashing act? How is this any different from, I'm not after his money, I just feel sorry for him. The way you're eating is just too ugly. And saying his sins vanished with the body, what about all those people she killed before? Is it just their bad luck? Who told them they weren't the protagonists? When they died, they just died, and they had to make way for the protagonists, not even having a place to cry out for justice. Yi Qishui, an evil soul master who killed for half a lifetime, says, my body is gone, so my sins are gone, right before dying, and she gets forgiveness from everyone and is able to pass on her lifelong cultivation to the protagonist group. With treatment like this, those people she killed probably can't even keep their coffin lids down. Huo Yuhao, aren't you supposed to have principles? Why play deaf and dumb when it comes to this? Oh, if a villain is useful to you, they can be whitewashed. If they're useless, they deserve to die. Is your principle made of modeling clay, to be molded however you want? Watching this whole plot, I have only one feeling: if you want to give the protagonist group a cheat code, just say so, don't pull these disgusting, forced whitewashing stunts. You want her spirit power, and you want her to be innocent. It seems you want to have your cake and eat it too, right? The most ironic part is Yi Qishui saying, I didn't want to live anyway, otherwise no one could have stopped me. Listen, a murderous evil soul master, right before death, passes her cultivation to the protagonist and instantly becomes a hero who sacrificed for love. The sheer hypocrisy of this, I'm blushing for her. Huo Yuhao, your values have been warped for more than a day or two. From thinking there was nothing wrong with the relationship between Long Xiaoyao and Yi Qishui, to accepting this isn't cleared, spirit power inheritance with peace of mind, you really don't feel awkward at all. Forget it, maybe this is the protagonist privilege, other people's lives aren't lives, only your increase in cultivation is the most important thing. As for those innocents killed by Yi Qishui, who told them they weren't protagonists? They deserved it, right? Song Yi was so angry when he critiqued up to this point that he almost exploded. That a character like Yi Qishui could be whitewashed shows just how warped the author's values are. It wasn't just Song Yi who thought this way, the other characters watching were also disgusted, and their complaints were even more exaggerated. Du Guyan, my body is destroyed, so my sins are gone. Then if I kill someone, can I just self-destruct on the spot and ascend to become a god? Bing Bing is polite. Tang Wadong says she doesn't want the spirit power of an evil soul master, but her hand reaches out faster than anyone else. How is this any different from saying, I don't want it, with your mouth while your body is very honest? The only princess, to put it bluntly, she just wants the benefits, wants to keep her reputation, and wants the whole world to cooperate with her act. Bibi Dong, the most disgusting thing is Yi Qishui's rhetoric. You killed so many people, and once your body is gone, your sins are gone. Does that mean the victims deserve to die for nothing? Calm and composed, Long Xiaoyao thinks he was right just because he knew Yi Qishui liked him. Brother, you slept with Pavilion Master N.A.N's girlfriend. What does it have to do with whether you two had a good relationship? Hot girl cheating is cheating, no matter how much you try to whitewash it. Pretending to be deep and affectionate, isn't it disgusting? Goose Feather Snow, Yi Qishui's so-called protection plan is even more stupid beyond words. 3 top geniuses running away together, who could have stopped them? Needle-tailed Swift, you had to create division and internal strife, playing 2 men for a fool, and causing them to become enemies for 100 years. You call that protection? I am an orphan, I think I understand now. Yi Qishui is just being a hypocrite while trying to set up an image of enduring humiliation. Auspicious snow in the forest. Long Xiaoyao is also amazing. After hearing everything, he was completely relieved. Shouldn't you be even more furious? You were played by this woman your whole life. Most loyal believer of the sea god Pavilion Master N.A.N was cuckolded for 100 years, used as a tool his whole life, and in the end, there wasn't even an apology. He still had to pass on his lifelong cultivation to the pair of scumbags who cheated on him. Du Guyan, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wadong have redefined the bottom line of my values. How can they still accept that spirit power with peace of mind after hearing such a disgusting story? Bing Bing is polite. The 4 of you are truly a perfect match. 1 who cheats, 1 who gets cuckolded and is still relieved, and 2 who lose their bottom line for power. The only Princess Tang San, the father, is even more ridiculous. Watching his daughter absorb the spirit power of an evil soul master and thinking there's no problem. Did you buy your God King title? Bibi Dong, I used to think Spirit Hall was dark enough. Compared to this family, I am practically a saint. Calm and composed, Yi Qishui said her sins vanish with her body, so if I go dig up her grave and whip her corpse now, does that not count as a crime either? Hot girl, this plot really made me sick. Forced whitewashing is 10,000 times more disgusting than just being a villain to the end. Goose Feather Snow, so, after killing people for a lifetime, shedding 2 tears before death, and passing on your cultivation, you are suddenly clean and a new person. Needle-tailed Swift, those innocent souls killed by Yi Qishui, watching this whitewashing drama from below, probably can't even keep their coffin lids down. I am an orphan. I now seriously suspect that the person who wrote this thinks the readers don't have brains. Auspicious snow in the forest. Spirit power is so fragrant, values are so rotten. Everyone in this room, one by one, not a single one is clean. Most loyal believer of the sea god. To summarize, the cheater is deep and affectionate, the murderer is innocent, the one taking the benefits is clean, and the one who was cuckolded deserved it. What kind of bullshit logic is this? Chapter 240, Killing the Evil Emperor's Son. Huo the protagonist claims the evil emperor is courting death. The characters complained endlessly, but the sharp criticisms on the light screen were not letting up at all. Is this where Huo the protagonist's warped values are truly put on display? In this series of events, every single one shows how brain-dead Huo the protagonist is. On the light screen, the sharp criticism continued. After absorbing the spirit power of Long Xiaoyao and the other person, it was time to deal with the Holy Spirit cult. Huo Yuhao and his companion even chased them all the way to the demonic forest. Where's the demonic forest? It's the place where he killed an evil-eyed tyrant the last time he came here. This time, he came to hunt down the remnants of the Holy Spirit cult. Talk about a coincidence, how does he manage to pass right by the evil emperor's doorstep every single time? Let's sort this out first. Then the evil-eyed tyrant dominator, the evil emperor, ranked second among the 10 great vicious beasts. How could he tolerate this when he saw the situation? So the evil emperor wanted to deal with Huo the protagonist, but Huo the protagonist refused to back down, telling him to mind his own business. Huo the protagonist expected to enter the evil emperor's territory to capture people, while the evil emperor was supposed to just endure it and not interfere. Wait, when you killed his son back then, why didn't you think about today? Evil emperor, you killed my son, and yet you're telling me to mind my own business. Do you have some kind of misunderstanding about me? And then what did our Huo the protagonist say? He said, I am only here to capture the people of the Holy Spirit cult. If the evil emperor does not interfere with me, then I will not interfere with the evil emperor. Listen to that, just listen to how righteous and confident he sounds. To translate, I killed your son, but you'd better act like nothing happened and not delay my business, otherwise I won't be polite. He didn't come to chase a fugitive, he came to find an excuse to pick a fight, didn't he? Of course the evil emperor had to act. Avenging his own son is only natural and right. As a result, Huo the protagonist immediately changed his tune. If you insist on meddling in this matter, then I can only kill you and turn you into my ninth spirit ring. My goodness, the way you say it makes it sound like the evil emperor is the one being unreasonable. Since you insist on avenging your son, I have no choice but to kill you too. Savor that logic, savor it carefully. Let me reconstruct the actual situation for everyone. First, when Huo Yuhao came to the demonic forest last time, he was the one who first killed the evil emperor's son, an evil-eyed tyrant. He knew perfectly well at the time that it was the evil emperor's son, he was crystal clear about it. Second, after killing his son, he now brazenly struts onto his territory to chase a fugitive. This isn't chasing a fugitive, this is delivering a provocation right to his doorstep. Third, when the father wants revenge, he says, don't mind other people's business. So the feud of a murdered son is just, other people's business, in your eyes. Fourth, when the other party refuses, he turns around and slaughters him to use as a spirit ring. Isn't this equivalent to, I killed your son, and if you want revenge, I'll kill you too, just in time, since I'm still missing a spirit ring. Would you say you came here to chase a fugitive, or did you come to stock up on spirit rings? What's the absolute best part? It's that from start to finish, Huo Yuhao had that. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Look on his face. I did not wish to be your enemy. It is you who insisted on interfering in this matter. Since that is the case, I can only be impolite to you. This rhetoric, Tang-san would applaud if he saw it, and Yu Xiaogang would take notes if he heard it. Translated into human language, I killed your son, but you'd better stay put and not move. If you dare to move, then it's your fault, and my killing you is your own doing. Isn't this the classic, you resisted, so you deserve to die? We admit the evil emperor is no saint. The evil-eyed tyrant clan was never part of the lawful good camp to begin with. But in this matter, what did he do wrong? Is there something wrong with avenging his own son? You caused trouble on his territory, and he kicked you out. Is there something wrong with that? You threatened to kill him, so he struck first. Is there something wrong with that? No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The one who actually has a problem is the person who killed someone's son, went to show off at their doorstep, and even said, don't look for trouble or I'll slaughter you if you do. If you, Huo Yuhao, want to kill spirit beasts, then kill them. If you want a spirit ring, then go get it. Why are you pretending to be an innocent victim? If you wanted a ninth spirit ring, just say so. You fancy the evil emperor's cultivation, so just hunt him down directly. Why do you insist on fabricating a script about, he provoked me first? Are you writing a novel? The #1 professional spirit ring scammer of the Duluo continent is none other than you, Huo the protagonist. Last time you killed the son, you claimed the evil-eyed tyrant provoked you first. This time you killed the father, and you claim the evil emperor attacked first. So in the entire world, only you are the most innocent, and only you love being forced to fight back. And why does this plot seem so familiar? I am not here to look for trouble with you. Do not force my hand. You brought this upon yourself. I get it, this is the Tang sect's ancestral rhetoric, passed down through generations, word for word. Tang-san is like this, and Huo Yuhao is like this too. Do you Tang sect disciples all have to carry a textbook on how to make hunting sound like self-defense when you go out? In Tang San's mouth, Dumming and Erming are evil spirit beasts, while in Huo Yuhao's mouth, the evil emperor is a trouble that insisted on meddling. Is your Tang sect's definition of evil just anyone who stands in my way is evil? Honestly, I've seen plenty of hypocrites, but someone hypocritical to this extent is truly rare. This segment was also enough to make people want to laugh out loud. You killed someone's son, and when they come to cause trouble for you, they are the ones who are guilty, right? No wonder Huo the protagonist could become Tang San's son-in-law. Du Guyan, I'm seriously speechless. This logic is practically cast from the exact same mold as Tang San's. Bing Bing is polite, hold on, let me get this straight. He killed the son first, and now that the father has come for revenge, he says the father is meddling in other people's business. BB Dong, hey, if you want to hunt spirit beasts, then hunt them. Why bother pretending to be virtuous? I despise this kind of hypocritical behavior the most. Calm and composed, actually, speaking objectively, forget it, I can't keep pretending. This is just too shameless. Hot girl, wait, didn't you slaughter his son first? Now it's the evil emperor who's actively looking for trouble. Needle-tailed Swift, I gave you a chance but you didn't want it, so I can only kill you to use as a spirit ring, no matter how you hear it, this sounds like robber logic. I am an orphan, putting myself in the evil emperor's shoes, my blood pressure is already rising. He wants to avenge his son, yet he gets called an evil spirit beast. Auspicious snow in the forest, to put it bluntly, he just fancied the cultivation level of that ninth spirit ring. Why put on an act of being forced to fight back? Chapter 241, Huo the protagonist let the enemy go, causing the deaths of tens of millions of people on the Duluo continent. Du Guyan, no matter how bad the evil emperor is, he's in the right on this matter. The hatred of having one's son killed is absolutely irreconcilable, okay. Bing Bing is polite to summarize his behavioral pattern. I've taken a liking to you, I provoke you first, do you resist, do you deserve to die. A perfect closed loop. BB Dong, this hypocritical face actually reminds me of an old friend. Calm and composed, I originally thought I was used to double standards, but I didn't expect my lower limit of understanding to be redefined. Hot girl, so basically, you're the only one in the world allowed to make a move, and if anyone else does, they're an evil spirit beast who deserves to die. Needle-tailed Swift, the key point is, when he killed that evil-eyed tyrant last time, he already knew it was the evil emperor's son, right? I am an orphan knowing it was someone's son and still killing him, and then blaming the father for coming to seek revenge after the kill. So classic. Auspicious snow in the forest, I've seen shameless people before, but never someone so righteously shameless. Inside the special space. As the light screen faded, Huo Yuner stared at the void, her entire body trembling. You killed his son, how could you do such a thing? Her voice squeezed out from between her teeth, every word seemingly stained with blood. He is a spirit beast, but he is also a father. You killed his child, so it is only natural and right for him to seek revenge against you. How do you still have the nerve to say he actively provoked you? How do you still have the nerve to say he deserved to die? She clenched her fists, her nails almost digging into her palms. Think about it, if someone were to kill you in front of me in the future, even if your mother didn't have the strength, even if I had to risk this life of mine, I would definitely avenge you. This is something your mother can do. Her voice suddenly dropped, her eyes completely red. But what about you? Do you not even understand this simple truth? Has Shrek Academy really taught you to become like this? To the point where you can't even distinguish the most basic right from wrong, good from evil. As she spoke, her voice grew softer and softer, until finally, only silence remained. She stopped speaking and just stood there, her eyes filled with disappointment. She continued to watch the light screen. Huo Yuner could also roughly guess that the harsh critique of Huo Yuhao was about to end. She really didn't want to watch any more of this. Every time she watched, she would become disappointed in her son all over again. However, the harsh critique continued, and Huo Yuhao's true flaws were far more than just these. On the light screen. After dealing with the evil emperor and absorbing his spirit ring, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wadong went to deal with the Sun Moon Empire. Arriving at the Sun Moon Empire, the two made an agreement with Juzi to help her kill the Sun Moon Empire's emperor, Shu Tianren. Afterwards, Juzi was to agree to a 10-year truce, during which she could not invade the Duluo continent. No, seriously, bro, are you stupid? You actually believed such a brain-dead agreement? You just joined forces with Juzi to take down Shu Tianren, and the next moment you expose your back to the actual decision-maker of the Sun Moon Empire's military. What, do you think Juzi is some innocent little girl who, after killing her husband, would swear sisterhood with you and become your close sibling? She has thousands of troops and horses in her hands. Just because you say, 10-year truce, she has to obediently stop fighting for 10 years. Did you buy this confidence wholesale from a roadside stall for 2 yuan? What's even more ridiculous is that before leaving, you had to add, the two of us are going into secluded cultivation for several years, you know, several years. Comrade Huo Yuhao, are you negotiating a truce, or are you sending an invitation to the enemy's commander-in-chief saying, go ahead and do whatever you want? You gave away such vital strategic intelligence to the enemy as a parting gift. Was your brain deprived of oxygen from being fanned by Tang Wadong's butterfly wings? And the result, the moment you closed the door to go into secluded cultivation, she immediately sharpened her blade, counted the days, and once your aura stabilized, the war broke out. 1 year, she only held back for a single year. The shelf life of your 10-year agreement isn't even as long as bread bought from a supermarket. Juzi is indeed a piece of work. Before launching the war, she could actually argue plausibly, it's all Huo Yuhao's fault. If he hadn't said he was going into secluded cultivation, how would I have dared to take action? Oh my god, hearing this made me almost bite my teacup in half. So, you went back on your word because the other party trusted you too much. This genius logic fills me with deep respect. You want to kill someone, and yet you blame them for washing their neck clean first. If he hadn't given me this opportunity, would I have committed this mistake? Even green teas would have to call you their ancestral master. And speaking of Huo Yuhao, I understand him even less. Are you forgetful? Do you need me to help you recall what Juzi has done? Who was the one who aimed the soul guidance cannons at Shrek Academy, blowing the ashes of how many beloved teachers into the sky? Who was the one who started the war, leaving the Star Luo Empire strewn with corpses and turning the entire Duluo continent into a river of blood? The blood on this woman's hands couldn't be washed clean even with a water truck, yet you actually thought she would talk about Jianggu morality with you. You say you killed Shu Tianren, so why did you still make some gentleman's agreement with her? Isn't this equivalent to catching a venomous snake, pulling its fangs, and then negotiating with it, let's become sworn brothers, and you're not allowed to bite anyone anymore? And then you turn around and tell it, I'm taking a nap, don't move around. Do you think it will move around? In the end, because of your mercy, because of your belief, Juzi made a comeback. How many more cities did she massacre? How many more innocent people did she harm? Those lives, those dead souls, must all be charged to the account of your soft-heartedness, Huo Yuhao. Soft-hearted at critical moments, but ruthless when your own interests are involved, you play this double standard quite smoothly. To preserve your lousy image of, I don't want to raise my hand against women, you sacrifice the peace of the entire continent. You really are something else. If Shrek knew that you letting Juzi go resulted in this, the deans would jump out of their graves in anger just to give you 2 slaps. The values of these two have already warped to the core of the earth. One actually dared to believe, and the other actually dared to break her word. A perfect match. To put it bluntly, Huo Yuhao's behavior is just a man's weakness. He always thinks that, sparing someone's life, will earn gratitude, but in the end, it only brings a bigger slap in the face. You are no saint, you are an accomplice to the executioner. Your mercy is the very knife you handed to Juzi to commit murder. Finally, I leave Huo Yuhao with this sentence, as carefree as you were when you let her go, that is how piercing the cries of those wrong souls who died because of you will be. On this point, Song Yi's harsh critique was absolutely spot on. This was indeed Huo Yuhao's problem. You are already so old, yet how can you still be so immature and foolish? Releasing the enemy's commander-in-chief, expecting them to keep a promise that has absolutely no value. They are capable of launching a war of aggression, yet they would keep a promise of a 10-year truce with you. Are you stupid? Chapter 242, Huo the protagonist calls Juzi selfish. Are you not selfish yourself? Do Guyan does Huo Yuhao have a screw loose? Giving away top-secret information like going into seclusion is a personal favor, does he think not enough people in his own country have died? Bing Bing is polite how much blood of Shrek's teachers and students is on Juzi's hands. He can actually forgive this. What do the dead count as? Stepping stones for Huo Yuhao's deep affection. BB Donk those who achieve great things do not sweat the small stuff, but this isn't benevolence on Huo Yuhao's part, it's a complete failure to understand priorities. Being stupid to this extent, no matter how many people die, he is an accomplice. Calm and composed Juzi said, it's all your fault for not deterring me, listen to that, is that even human speech? Starting a war and then blaming the other side for not stopping her, she's the ultimate hypocrite. Hot girl Huo Yuhao actually thinks he's being very loyal and affectionate. Hilarious, being loyal to the enemy is stabbing his own people in the back. Needle-tailed swift Juzi turned her back on the agreement after just 1 year of truce. What does that show? It shows she never intended to keep her word from the very beginning. Huo Yuhao can't even see through this. He might as well donate his eyes. Goose Feather Snow, one is a hypocrite and the other is an outright villain. Together, they've plunged the continent into a river of blood. A perfect match. Zuzuyun he cried his eyes out when Shrek was destroyed, but turned around and let the mastermind go. Aren't those tears way too cheap? I am an orphan claiming it's for peace on one hand, while turning around and telling the enemy all his trump cards on the other. Huo Yuhao, you really know how to strive for peace. Auspicious snow in the forest Juzi is even more disgusting. After killing people, she says, you forced me. Seeing her face makes me want to throw up. Eternal Angel, one is incredibly stupid, the other is thoroughly evil. Neither of them has any right to look down on the other. Du Guyan, the ones who suffer the most are the common people. Just because of Huo Yuhao's momentary soft-heartedness, their homes are gone. Why should others have to pay the price for his deep affection? Bing Bing is polite Huo Yuhao, if you truly believe you did nothing wrong, go ask those who died tonight if they agree with you letting Juzi go. BB Donk being soft-hearted toward the enemy is being cruel to your own people. Not even understanding such a simple truth, no matter how many die, he deserves the blame. Calm and composed Juzi's words are truly classic, you didn't stop me, so I made a mistake. Her giant infant mentality is off the charts. Hot girl Huo Yuhao even told Juzi that he was going into seclusion for several years. Isn't that basically saying, come and attack us quickly? Needle-tailed swift, if even one of these two had a normal brain, it wouldn't have ended up like this. Unfortunately, both of them are absolute pieces of work. Goose Feather Snow, the more I think about it, the angrier I get. Shrek's teachers and students watching this from the underworld probably can't even keep their coffin lids down. I am an orphan, what deeply affectionate good man. He's clearly just a selfish ghost, pushing the entire continent into a fiery pit just for his own peace of mind. Auspicious snow in the forest. Juzi's shamelessness is obvious, but Huo Yuhao's self-indulgent kindness is what's truly disgusting. Eternal Angel, after watching this part, I really want to rush in and slap him twice. What a piece of trash. ... Special space. How could I have a son like you? Huo Yuner stared at the light screen, looking at the sharp criticism. In her mind, she seemed to see Huo Yuhao personally unlocking the shackles of that enemy general, watching him cross the border. Then, in her imagination, fires raged in the border towns, commoners fled crying, and the elderly and children fell in pools of blood. You let him go, and then he came back to slaughter. What about those who died? Do you have a second chance to give them? Her voice was shaking. You said you had a history with Juzi, and she said she wouldn't do this, so you believed it. How many life and death situations have you experienced, yet you can still be naive to this extent? Yuhao, what difference is there between you and a traitor? You handed the enemy's blade back into their hands, you personally paved the way for the massacre. It's not that you didn't know the consequences, you knew full well what would happen, yet you still let that person go, just because you knew each other. Huo Yuner's voice grew quieter, but each word carried more weight than the last. The son I carried for 10 months, the child I raised with such hardship, is actually someone who would disregard thousands of lives for his personal feelings. She turned around, no longer looking at the light screen. Duluo 2 era. Outside the dormitories of Shrek Academy. Wang Dong'er leaned against the railing, her arms crossed over her chest. I really didn't expect this. I thought that no matter what, he would still have some sort of bottom line. As it turns out, he can't distinguish anything. He can't distinguish right from wrong at all. Xiao Xiao stood beside her, clutching a water cup. I was still wondering if there was some kind of twist, if he had left himself a backup plan. No, nothing at all. He simply, stupidly, let the person go for a reason like, I believe they won't do this. Tang Yao leaned against the doorframe and chimed in. Anyway, we haven't had any good feelings toward him for a long time. Ever since those previous incidents, we've felt this person is unreliable. This time, it's the lives of the Star Luo Empire's citizens. When he released them, his mind only had the Juzi's face in it. What were the names of those citizens? How many people were in their families? He didn't think about a single one of them. Wang Dong'er sneered. She directly criticized, being kind to the enemy is being cruel to oneself. Even a 3-year-old child has heard those words. Has Huo Yuhao never heard them, or did he hear them, but simply felt he was above such reasoning? You give him a way out, and he will be grateful and put down his butcher's knife. The reality is that you let him go, he goes back to regroup, and then returns with even more people to slaughter. What's shown on the light screen is reality. Xiao Xiao directly cursed aloud. Tang Yao snorted. He saw it, he just didn't care. Xiao Xiao continued to look at the light screen and said in a low voice, utterly disappointed. Who knows what other bizarre stunts this Huo Yuhao will pull later on, sigh. In the light screen. After Huo Yuhao informed Juzi, he and Tang Wedong indeed went into seclusion for 3 whole years. 3 years later, Juzi led the Sun Moon Empire on a slaughtering spree all the way to the Star Luo Empire. And as soon as Huo Yuhao emerged from seclusion, finding that Juzi had already attacked the Star Luo Empire, he naturally wanted to protect the Star Luo Empire. However, instead of first reflecting on what good deed he had done in the past, he stood right in front of her and started condemning her. Huo the protagonist first blocked the enemy, then began to accuse them, saying that Juzi had actually violated their agreement and restarted the war to harm people all for her own selfish interests. No, wait, you can criticize Juzi for any other faults, but how can you accuse her of selfish interests? What right do you, Huo Yuhao, have to say the words of selfish interests? Chapter 243, Kidnapping a Child to Threaten the Enemy. Huo the protagonist's despicable and disgusting actions. Back then, Juzi was right in front of you. One slash, and the war between the 2 continents would have ended directly. But you didn't do it. You went soft, you let her go, and you even thought you were being incredibly righteous. When you let the enemy go, did you think for even a second about those who later died on the battlefield? What else do you call this if not pure selfishness? Because of your little romantic entanglements, do you have any idea how many people died? What's even funnier is how half-hearted you were when you let her go, setting up some 10-year agreement like it was a game. Do you think you were signing a contract? With a penalty clause? You opened your mouth and made decisions for the entire continent. Did you ever ask if they were willing to bet their lives on Juzi keeping her word? Now that she isn't keeping her word to you, you come running out to play the righteous crusader. Have you no shame? Juzi isn't exactly a good person, such a disgusting thing certainly can't be whitewashed. But you, Huo Yuhao, aren't exactly a righteous person yourself, are you? The other side is black, but you aren't white either. How can you judge them? Didn't you cause so many people to die back then for your own selfish reasons? And the most extreme part comes next. To get Juzi to retreat, Huo the protagonist directly kidnapped her son. You kidnapped someone's son and threatened her right in front of his mother. Withdraw your troops, or I'll kill him. One second you're standing on the moral high ground accusing others of harming the innocent, the next second you're holding someone's child hostage yourself. Your face changes faster than flipping a book. You've crushed the moral high ground to pieces, haven't you? You say this was a last resort to protect the people of the Duluo continent. Fine, let's break it down. You had a fair and square opportunity back then to root out the source of the trouble, but you didn't do it. Now that the situation has collapsed, you've started playing the kidnapping game. Was your brain pinched by a door while you were in seclusion? If you had just killed Juzi back then, people would have called you a hero. Who would have thought that you wouldn't do it then, and now that you regret it, you use such disgusting tactics to threaten her? Oh, how can you keep making people despise you so much? You're quite capable, aren't you? And just when you think this is the limit of his operations, Juzi drops a huge bombshell, claiming that this child is yours, how? Silence fell over everyone. Then, Tang Wedong's reaction was a textbook example of, I'm running away before disaster strikes. Without a word, she turned around with Tang San and headed back to the God Realm. You didn't even have the patience to hear an explanation. Your boyfriend is still on the battlefield acting as a kidnapper, and you just dump him there. Is this what you call a fiancé? To me, this just looks like a casual arrangement. When trouble hits, she doesn't even say a word and runs faster than a rabbit. Even funnier is Huo Yuhao's next move. He didn't chase after her, claiming he had to be responsible for the people of the Duluo continent and had to finish dealing with the matters of the Duluo continent first. Wait, what kind of act are you putting on? Do you actually want to be responsible, or is it that you simply can't fly up there? You're only at level 99 right now, and the god position hasn't been passed to you yet. Even if you wanted to chase her, you couldn't. It's clearly because you can't go up yourself, yet you force it into a narrative of, I am very responsible. I have to admire the level of self-aggrandizement here. And to say something harsh, after you eventually became a god and flew up to the god realm, did you ever care about the Duluo continent? Did you ever look back once? Why are you here now putting on a show of overflowing responsibility? Acting as if you're so reluctant to leave. Looking at this whole situation, everyone is truly a villain, no one has the right to judge anyone else. Juzi isn't a good person, that's for sure, but Huo Yuhao, don't go acting like a saint over there. A hypocrite is more disgusting than a true villain. Do you really not understand this principle, or are you just pretending not to? You know how many people died because of your actions back then, don't you? Now you're kidnapping someone's son as a hostage, how is that any different from the despicable scoundrels you curse in your own words? As for Tang Wedong, never mind, I don't want to say anything more. And you have the nerve to call this love? To me, it's just a farce. When trouble arises, she runs faster than anyone. Anyway, I've seen it clearly. The grievances and grudges of this Duluo continent are, in the end, just a bunch of good people doing unseemly things. Good people, every single one of you, stop trying to polish your own images. When Song Yi was giving his sharp critique, he thought of many details from back then. Many readers who scolded Huo Yuhao did so mostly for using Xu Yunin to threaten Juzi. But in reality, there are quite a few points to criticize in this part of the original plot regarding Huo Yuhao as well. That's why Song Yi could speak in such detail, there really wasn't anything wrong with it. Furthermore, as these matters were sharply critiqued, the female characters watching became even more disgusted, and the complaints continued without interruption. Goose feather snow, wait, what kind of logic does this Huo Yuhao have? It's wrong for Juzi to fight a war for her own selfish interests, but it's fine for him to let the enemy go. He really plays the double standard well. Du Guyan laughing to death. Wouldn't it have been enough to just kill Juzi fair and square back then? Why set up a 10-year agreement? Is this playing house? Bing Bing is polite, let's analyze this rationally. If he had dealt with Juzi back then, there wouldn't be so much trouble later on. Now that he's using her son to threaten her, the tactics are indeed unsightly. Bibi Dong, as someone in a position of power, I only want to say that indecisiveness is more harmful than ruthlessness. This isn't kindness, it's stupidity. Zhu Zuyun, the most speechless part is that he still has the nerve to scold Juzi for her selfish interests. Didn't you also let the tiger return to the mountain for the sake of those petty feelings? Calm and composed, to be honest, using a child to threaten a mother, this move really left me stunned. A righteous character plays this game. Hot girl, ha 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 ha, Tang Wedong is even more extreme. Her boyfriend is still fighting a war, and she just ran away. She didn't even give him a chance to explain. Needle-tailed Swift, you can't blame the woman entirely, either. Who wouldn't explode if they found out their boyfriend had a child with someone else? Most loyal believer of the sea god, the key is that Huo Yuhao also said he wanted to be responsible for the Duluo continent. You couldn't even fly up there at the time, why act so righteous? I am an orphan laughing to death. Did he ever care about the Duluo continent after becoming a god? He just wiped his hands and went to the god realm to enjoy himself, and now he's pretending. Auspicious snow in the forest, the essence is, he doesn't kill when he should, doesn't chase when he should, and runs away when he should be responsible. It's all about being conflicted. Eternal Angel summary. Juzi's selfishness harmed one era, Huo Yuhao's selfishness harmed the entire region. Neither of them has the right to judge the other. Eternal Angel anyway, it's the same point, it's not that you can't protect the Duluo continent. Eternal Angel, but if you had just wiped out Juzi first back then, you wouldn't need to threaten her with her child now. Calm and composed, exactly, there were suitable methods he didn't use, suitable ways he didn't solve it. Calm and composed, and at a time like this, wouldn't it have been just as effective to just capture Juzi? You captured a child, is this not brain dead? Du Guyan, if he didn't capture the child, how would he expose Xu Yunin's true identity? Du Guyan capturing Juzi directly could solve the problem, but wouldn't that mean Xu Yunin's identity wouldn't be exposed? The female characters kept complaining, and by the end, they were speechless to the extreme. Huo the protagonist, oh Huo the protagonist, your level of disgust is truly second to none. Chapter 244, Straight to the God Realm. Abandoning friends, Huo the protagonist is truly loyal. A silent sigh. In a special space. Huo Yun'er stared blankly at that light screen, the color draining from her lips bit by bit. Yu Hao, is this truly what you will become? She murmured, her voice sounding as if it were being squeezed out from her throat, soft and fragmented. Can you really become such a disgusting, such a hypocritical child? She raised her hand as if wanting to grasp the figure in the light screen, but her fingers only weakly clutched at the air before falling back down. You were so adorable when you were little. You were so upright when you were little. You couldn't even dare to step on an ant, do you remember? You would even share half your steamed bun with beggars on the roadside, have you forgotten that too? Her words became increasingly rapid, her voice beginning to tremble. How could your future self, how could you see someone else's child to threaten them? That is a child, Yu Hao. That is a child as innocent as you were when you were little. She turned around abruptly, as if unable to face the images in the light screen any longer, her shoulders trembling slightly. If you say you wanted to protect the Star Luo Empire, then why didn't you just kill Juzi back then? Her voice suddenly rose, carrying a sharpness that bordered on a breakdown. If you had killed her uprightly, Mother wouldn't have said a single word against you. That was a battlefield, that was an enemy. But why did you wait until she gave birth, until that child could run, jump, and call out to you, only to then use the child's life to threaten its mother? As she said this, her entire being seemed to be drained of all strength, and she stumbled a step. Even if Mother wants to support you, Mother cannot support a son like this. Her voice lowered, so low it was as if she were talking to herself. A hypocritical, disgusting, son who uses a child as a bargaining chip. Silence washed over like a tide. Huo Yun'er did not speak again, she just stood there, the light in her eyes fading bit by bit, until only a grey, dead silence remained. She slowly closed her eyes, her lips pulling into an extremely faint arc, not a smile, just resignation. A sigh, short and heavy, as if something inside her had completely snapped. Then, there was a long silence. However, even now, the sharp critique in the light screen continued. In the light screen. Regarding the subsequent talk about Huo Yu Hao resolving matters on the Duluo continent, what exactly did he resolve? Closing square bracket. So, Huo Yu Hao kept talking about handling matters on the Duluo continent, but what did he actually do? Closing square bracket. Reconciling with his father and finishing up the cleanup work from the war, is that what you call, finished handling it? Closing square bracket. I reckon the main content of your handling was just challenging N.A.N, right? Closing square bracket. That thing was the final gate of your god trial. When it comes down to it, you only stayed behind to become a god. Closing square bracket. Saying, I have to resolve the matters here first, translating that means, I have to pass the god position trial first, otherwise I can't leave. Closing square bracket. Fine, then just say it outright, why put on such an act of righteousness? Closing square bracket. Acting as if you were so reluctant to leave the Duluo continent, yet the moment you defeated N.A.N and became a god, you vanished without a trace. Closing square bracket. Come on, bro, didn't you say you had to handle things? Where did the handling go? You didn't handle anything at all. Closing square bracket. Could you have at least looked back once after becoming a god? Closing square bracket. You didn't care about the academy, you didn't care about Shrek, and you didn't care about the companions who went through life and death with you. Closing square bracket. After Tang San became a god, he at least knew to find god position legacies for his teammates and arrange their futures, but what about you? Closing square bracket. You, on the other hand, just took off running to chase after your wife after she was taken away by your father-in-law. Closing square bracket. So, your whole life revolves around Tang Wadong, right? Are your brothers and friends just there to you? Closing square bracket. The key point is that your companions didn't even know where you went. Closing square bracket. From their perspective, Huo Yu Hao just evaporated from the face of the earth. Closing square bracket. Have you ever thought about how Beibei, Shu Sanqi, and Hikaru would feel? Closing square bracket. A perfectly fine person, gone just like that, without even leaving a word. Closing square bracket. Couldn't you have left a letter? Couldn't you have asked someone to pass on a message? Brothers, I'm going to become a god and find my wife, don't worry about me, would that have taken more than a few minutes? Closing square bracket. You just disappeared like that, and they worried about you for the rest of their lives. Closing square bracket. Those teammates, those teachers, for the rest of their lives they would wonder, where did Yu Hao go? Did something happen to him? Closing square bracket. You, meanwhile, are all lovey-dovey with your wife in the god realm, while a group of people here are worrying themselves to death over you. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Closing square bracket. What's most disgusting is that you talk a better game than anyone. I must handle the affairs of the Duluo continent before I can leave, but what was the result? What did you handle? Closing square bracket. Is this what you call consistency between words and actions? This is what you call talking a big game and then running away cleanly? Closing square bracket. Let's talk about Wang Chuer again, didn't you swear you would resurrect her? How did you forget about that too? Closing square bracket. So your promises are all based on your mood, right? If you're in a good mood, you make a wish, if you're in a bad mood, you treat it like a fart. Closing square bracket. Wang Chuer probably didn't expect you to actually resurrect her, but since you said it, couldn't you at least put on an act? You're just going to turn the page like that. Closing square bracket. If you didn't plan on doing it, then don't thump your chest and guarantee it back then. Giving someone hope and then acting like it never happened, what do you call that? That's called playing with people. Closing square bracket. When it comes down to it, Huo Yuhao is a classic example of all principles on his lips, all business in his heart. Closing square bracket. On the surface, I want to be responsible for the Duluo continent, I want to handle everything well. Closing square bracket. In reality, I don't care if you live or die, I'm going to become a god and find my wife first. Closing square bracket. All those so-called responsibilities, promises, and brotherly bonds are, in his eyes, not as important as a single strand of Tang Wadong's hair. Closing square bracket. Being able to abandon everything for your wife sounds very devoted, but if you think about it carefully, isn't that just selfishness to the extreme? Closing square bracket. You treated everyone as tools, discarding them after use without even an explanation. How's this any different from those villains? Closing square bracket. The difference might be that villains at least don't pretend, they are openly evil. And you still have to build a persona of being devoted and responsible for yourself. Closing square bracket. In the end, your brothers worried about you for a lifetime, your teachers thought of you for a lifetime, and you, Huo Yuhao. You're probably in the god realm holding your wife, never having thought of these people once, right? Closing square bracket. Is this the so-called, most devoted genius of the Duluo continent? I think, most self-absorbed, refined egoist, is more like it. Closing square bracket. You say you went all out for love, that's fine, but don't step on other people's feelings to boost yourself up. Closing square bracket. Enjoying your brother's trust and support while leaving without a word, what do you call that behavior nowadays? That's called being a scumbag, a universal standard for scum. Closing square bracket. Huo Yuhao, oh Huo Yuhao, you really have taken the phrase, talks a good game, but acts ugly, to the extreme. Closing square bracket. Chapter 245, Resurrecting Huo the protagonist's parents. General Dai Hao can ascend to the god realm too. Du Guyan good brief, he says he's handling continental affairs, but it turns out he just acknowledged a father and got into a fight, and that's it. Bing Bing is polite logical genius. Handling affairs equals prerequisite task for becoming a god. Once done, he ascends immediately, not wasting a single second. Bibi Dong is someone who has been there. I just want to say, promises like that, if you can't keep them, don't make them lightly. Calm and composed, his mouth is full of responsibility, but his heart is full of his wife. What happened to resurrecting Wang Chuer? Not even a mention. Hot girl so, his companions are just tools. He just vanished into thin air without even saying goodbye. Needle-tailed Swift, the key is that at least Tang San bothered to find a god position for his brother, but this guy. He only has eyes for his own business. I am an orphan. The most heartbreaking part is that his teammates and teachers spent their whole lives looking for him, worrying about him. Meanwhile, he's living it up in the god realm. Auspicious snow in the forest. Honestly, is the god trial that urgent? Wood saying, I'm leaving, dear partners have hindered your ascension. Du Guyan in words, I must handle everything well. In reality, trial done, bye-bye to you all. Bing Bing is polite. This contrast is what makes people speechless. If you were truly selfish, I'd accept it, but don't pretend to be righteous. Bibi Dong men, they are all the same, earnest when making promises, and forget everything the moment they turn around. Calm and composed Wang Chuer, so when is my resurrection match actually happening? Huo Yuhao, it's on the way, read but not replied. Hot girl Trek Academy nurtured you for so many years, and you don't even deserve to receive a message. Needle-tailed Swift, if it weren't for the light screen revealing it, his band of brothers probably would have died without ever figuring out where he went. I am an orphan. Putting yourself in the teammates' shoes, it really makes one's heart cold. A lifetime of unfulfilled wishes. Auspicious snow in the forest. At the end of the day, he's just a refined egoist. All that high-sounding righteousness ultimately serves his own path to godhood. Du Guyan, the most shameless part is that he thinks it's only natural. I've become a god, I'm amazing, so you all should understand me. Bing Bing is polite. Forget it, I see it clearly now. Some people are destined only to share hardships, not wealth. Once they become gods, friends are no longer friends. Needle-tailed Swift, sunk cost. The more one gives, the deeper the hurt in the end. Duluo 2 era. On the Shrek Academy playground. The light screen was right in front. Wang Donger glanced at it, then turned her head away. I have nothing left to say to Huo Yuhao. I'm so disappointed that I've become quiet instead. Tang Ya stood to the side and nodded gently. He is exactly this kind of person. He says he wants to handle affairs on the Duluo continent, and he says it better than anyone, but when has he ever really cared about our lives? Xiao Xiao crossed her arms and continued in a flat tone. We don't expect him to give us anything in the future, we never have. It's just that there's no need to pretend. If you don't want to care, then don't. Don't pay lip service as if you're responsible for anyone. Tang Ya sighed. You'll get used to it. The three of them said nothing more, stood there for a while, and then left the playground one after another. The light screen remained where it was, but the comments were not empty. Afterwards, when Huo the protagonist arrives at the god realm, what's the first thing he does? Of course, it's getting beaten up by Tang San first. Huo Yuhao, you got beaten up by Tang San as soon as you entered the god realm, you really are pathetic. God King Tang San, can you stop being so hypocritical with that smile? Is that welcoming a newcomer? It's clearly a father-in-law who doesn't like his son-in-law looking to settle scores in advance. Why are you, as a father, interfering in the affairs of a young couple? Do you have no idea what Tang Wadong's personality is like? Is she the type to be bullied? A first-rank god fighting a god king, getting rubbed into the ground the whole time, without even a chance to fight back. God King Tang San, what do you call this? Abuse of power, settling personal vendettas, it's even more ridiculous than when you were on the Duluo continent. Huo Yu Hao, you really are something too. You get beaten up and don't even dare to make a peep. A first-rank god is still a god, can you show some backbone? Good grief, one finishes beating him, and another comes along. Dai Mubai just listens to Tang San and pretends to run into Huo Yu Hao by chance. Is the god realm organizing a group to welcome you? Are you here for a trial? As soon as Dai Mubai saw Huo Yu Hao, his eyes lit up. Saying things like, as expected of my descendant. As expected of my Dai family bloodline. You're just amazing. No, what kind of big-tailed wolf are you pretending to be here? You have no idea how much suffering Huo Yu Hao endured climbing up step by step from that dump called the Duke's Mansion, do you? It has nothing to do with you. When you were an old ancestor in the god realm, he was being hunted down outside. When you were enjoying life in the god realm, he was risking his life on the battlefield. Now that he has ascended, you come up with, as expected of my descendant. What did you, Dai Mubai, give him? Did you nurse him or help him forge weapons? Aside from contributing a tiny bit of bloodline, it has nothing to do with you. This is like someone working hard to get into Tsinghua University, and a distant relative you haven't seen in forever runs out and says, as expected of our family, so smart, do you have no shame? What's even more ridiculous is that Dai Mubai added. Don't blame little San, for my face, go and fight him again. I'll go to hell. Didn't you just see how badly he was beaten? Are you inciting your descendant to go to his death? Why don't you go fight him yourself? You are a god king and he is a god king, why don't you go spar with Tang San? So, you're not the one getting beaten, right? Huo Yu Hao actually went after hearing this. You are quite the talent too. You just got beaten and you're going back. Do you have some kind of masochistic tendency? Fortunately, Tang San didn't use lethal force this time, saying something about testing him. After the test, Tang San had a benevolent fatherly look. I have brought your father to the god realm, and I have resurrected your mother. You can reunite as a family now. God King Tang San, I really don't understand your actions. Resurrecting his mother counts as a good deed, but why did you bring his father up? To make up the numbers. Don't you know what the relationship is between Huo Yu Hao and his father? They are mortal enemies, they are sworn enemies. His mother was indirectly killed by his father. You're not letting them reunite, you're locking two dogs in the same cage. Tang San, have you been a god king for too long that you think all family conflicts in the world can be solved by sitting down and having a good chat? Chapter 246, Forgiving General Dai Hao on behalf of his mother. Is Huo Yu Hao really this disgusting? Huo Yun'er has been resurrected. Huo Yu Hao's cheap father has also been dragged up. That cheap father started acting as soon as he came up. I didn't know. I never paid attention to you. I always thought you were doing quite well. Classic lines, the trifecta of a scumbag. I didn't know, I didn't pay attention, I thought. And then what? Then Huo Yu Hao forgave him. Opening square bracket question mark closing square bracket. Your mother was just resurrected, and you already forgave the person who caused her death. If your mother knew, wouldn't she be so angry she'd die again? More than half of the suffering you, Huo Yu Hao, have endured in this life was caused by this cheap father of yours. Where was he when you were being bullied as an illegitimate child at the Duke's mansion? Where was he when your mother died filled with hatred? Now he runs out, pretends to be innocent, and you just forgive him. What right do you have to forgive this person on your mother's behalf? Your mother was harmed by this person her entire life, and in the end, you just lightly say, I forgive you. What sin did your mother commit to give birth to something like you? To be honest, Tang San being disgusting is Tang San's business. He can meddle in other people's business, he can force himself to be a peacemaker. But what about you, Huo Yu Hao? You actually took the bait. Is your mother's dead just going to be written off like that? All the grievances she suffered, all the tears she shed, the hard days she spent raising you alone, none of that counts anymore. Just because your cheap father said, I didn't know, you think it's excusable. What about your mother? What did she know? She knew her husband never cared for her. She knew her child was called a bastard. She knew that when she was waiting to die in a dilapidated house, that man was still living the high life at the Duke's mansion. Did she deserve it? Huo Yu Hao, you are truly pathetic. The biggest problem with you isn't that you aren't strong enough, it's that pathetic nature in your bones. You are grateful to anyone who gives you a little benefit, and you soften your heart whenever someone pretends to be pitiful. Have you forgotten who your closest person is? If your mother's spirit in heaven saw this, she would probably regret risking her life to give birth to you. Du Guyan, seriously, is Huo Yu Hao brain damaged? Du Guyan, your mom was killed, and you forgive your dad just because he acts pitiful. Bing Bing is polite, Tang San is quite skilled, resurrecting someone's mother is normal, but what's the point of forcing the father in? Bing Bing is polite, forcing a happy family, are we? Bibi Dong, hey, men, one god king meddling in affairs, one son kneeling down at the first opportunity. Bibi Dong, your mother is probably going to be angered back to life from the underworld. Calm and composed, rationally speaking, Huo Yu Hao lacks love and is easily manipulated. Calm and composed but forgiving on his mother's behalf, this really makes no sense. Hot girl, what lack of love, it's just pathetic. Hot girl, did his mom die for nothing? Where was his dad back then? Now he's resurrected and acting like a loving father, who is he trying to disgust? Needle-tailed swift, the most disgusting one is still Dai Mubai. Needle-tailed swift as expected of a descendant of mine, Daimubai, where were you when they were suffering? Now you take all the credit. I am an orphan if you didn't raise them, don't talk about blood relations. I am an orphan, his dad didn't care back then, but now that the God King has dragged him over, he's suddenly a good father. Auspicious snow in the forest. Guo Yuhao is in the God realm, being pressured by Tang-san and coddled by Daimubai, maybe he doesn't have the chance to think it through. Auspicious snow in the forest, but forgiving so easily is truly disheartening. Du Guyan disheartening, my foot, he's just spineless. Du Guyan he hated so much when his mom died, but now that the God King gives him an out, he takes it. Bing Bing is polite, looking at it from another angle, Tang-san's move is quite ruthless. Bing Bing is polite, first beat them up, then give them a sweet treat, drag the father out, and you have no choice but to acknowledge him. This isn't a reunion, it's manipulation. Bibi Dong, the victim is always the one sacrificed. Bibi Dong, Huo Yuhao's mother, no one even mentions her name anymore. Calm and composed, he has no right to forgive on his mother's behalf. Calm and composed, this hatred should be her own choice, not something erased by the words, one family. Hot girl, exactly. Hot girl, what sin did his mom commit? She died and still gets backstabbed by both her husband and her son. Needle-tailed swift, that line from Daimubai, you can go fight Tang-san now, is even more absurd. Needle-tailed swift, so the whole family is teaming up to bully people, huh? I am an orphan, it's just kidnapping by blood relations. I am an orphan just because there's blood relation, you must reconcile. Is his dad worthy? Auspicious snow in the forest, alright, the light screen has finished playing, and we're tired of scolding. Auspicious snow in the forest, hopefully he can wake up in the future and not really become a puppet in someone else's script. ... Forgiveness. Guo Yun'er stood in that void realm, watching the scene before her. Her Yuhao, the Yuhao she had raised with her own hands, stood before that man and said, forgiveness. Why? She muttered repeatedly, tears streaming down uncontrollably. Yuhao, although mother still loves him, this is mother's business. She raised her hand and pressed it against her chest. Mother knows her weakness is wrong, but mother cannot control it. But you, why would you forgive him? Her voice was trembling. What reason do you have to forgive him? What that man did was wrong. He abandoned mother, and he abandoned you too. She took a step forward, as if trying to grasp something. Yuhao, how could you forgive this man on mother's behalf? Yuhao. After that cry, her shoulders slumped. The anger in her eyes dissipated, replaced by disappointment, a disappointment that seeped from her bones, a cold, thorough disappointment. Mother does not forgive him because mother remembers everything. Mother remembers the rainy night you had a fever, remembers the look on your face when you asked why you didn't have a father, remembers your clenched fists when people called you a bastard. Mother cannot forget these things. But you, how could you forget? She lowered her head, looking at her hands covered in needle marks. The bravest thing mother has done in this life was to raise you alone after leaving him. But now you tell me you went back, that you forgave him. She raised her head, her eye sockets dry. Then what was all the suffering mother endured for these years for? What about all the tears you shed over these years? There was a long silence. Mother is weak, and even now cannot let him go, mother knows it is wrong. But you are not mother, Yuhao, you have never been mother. She turned around, her back to the void realm. You have grown up, mother can no longer control the decisions you make. Her voice calmed down, as calm as a pool of stagnant water. It's just, Yuhao, mother feels, you shouldn't be like this. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something more, then closed it. She just stood there, motionless, neither crying nor making a scene. The silence was more unbearable than any sound. How could you, forgive him on mother's behalf? This sentence drifted from her mouth, as light as a breath. Then, there was nothing left. Chapter 247, the critique ends. Everyone's disappointment. Inside the light screen. From this point on, with General Dai Hao resurrected and Huo Yuhao thoroughly reunited with his family, Huo Yuhao almost became Tang-san's dog. After all, his mother and wife were both in Tang-san's hands, what else could Huo the protagonist do? As for what happens after, that's a story for another time. At least for the Duluo 2 era, the story of Huo the protagonist ends here. There was quite a lot of content in the critique of Huo the protagonist, and with this, the critique is officially over. Song Yi typed out the final few words, bringing it to a complete and total end. This critique of Huo the protagonist was indeed a bit long-winded, but it couldn't be helped, there were just too many things about this scumbag to complain about. The other characters watched, feeling a slight sense of emotion, regardless of everything, the critique had finally come to an end. That guy, Huo Yuhao, was now in the past. Duluo 2 era. Outside the Shrek Academy dormitory. I really didn't expect him to be this kind of person. Wang Donger leaned against the stone railing outside the dormitory building, her voice filled with an indescribable disgust. The light screen had already gone dark, and the text of the critique had dissipated. Yet, every single incident she had just seen and heard felt like a nail driven into her mind, impossible to pull out. Everywhere he shows affection, that sounds really nice, doesn't it? Tang let out a cold snort. What does, everywhere he shows affection, mean? It just means he loves whoever he sees, and if he sees two, he loves both. He's gentle to everyone, considerate to everyone, and in the end, everyone thinks they're special. But what's the result? The only person Huo Yuhao truly cares about is himself. Xiao Xiao crossed her arms, her brows furrowed tightly. And that business about cheating in the competition. I used to think he had it really tough, rising from obscurity and struggling all the way to where he is today. Now that I think about it, he certainly struggled, but his methods were truly despicable. He'd do anything to win. What do rules matter? What does morality matter? As long as he achieves his goal, he doesn't care how dirty the process is. The double standards are what's truly disgusting. Wang Donger continued, her tone growing heavier. If someone else did the things he did, he could criticize them for 3 days and 3 nights. But when it comes to himself, there's always an excuse, always a hardship, always forced by circumstances. How can things be so convenient for him in this world? Tanya grew angrier as she spoke, her voice rising a few notches. The most ridiculous part is his attitude toward his friends. People treat him with complete sincerity, and what about him? He leans on them when he needs them, and when he doesn't, you can't even see his shadow. He talks about how much he values friendship and loyalty, but in reality, when trouble comes, the first thing he considers is himself. How can a person like this be called a friend? And that father of his? When Xiao Xiao mentioned this, the disgust on her face was almost overflowing. How did Huo Yuhao's mother die? She was indirectly killed by that father of his. A man who can't even protect his own woman, leaving her to suffer endlessly outside and die with hatred, a father like that doesn't deserve to be forgiven by anyone. Wang Donger sneered. But Huo Yuhao just had to forgive him. After becoming a god, basking in infinite glory, he went back in with a light, easy, I forgive you, wiped the slate clean. If his mother knew about this in the afterlife, she'd probably be turning in her grave. If his mother knew. Tanya shook her head. Forget it, let's not talk about his mother. If she knew her son turned out to be this kind of thing, why would she have suffered so much to raise him? Was it worth it? Xiao Xiao took a deep breath, as if trying to exhale the pent-up frustration in her chest. Anyway, from today on, I won't have any dealings with him anymore. I used to think he was pitiful and inspiring, but now that I think about it, the saying, there must be something hateful about a pitiful person, is absolutely correct. Me too. Wang Donger straightened up. This kind of person isn't worth deep friendship. Being polite on the surface is enough. Sincerity, forget it. Tanya nodded, her tone carrying a sense of resolution after seeing him clearly. The true colors of some people will never be known unless you peel back the layers. Seeing it clearly now is better than waiting until you've been betrayed later. The three of them were silent for a moment. The wind blew softly outside the dormitory building, but no one mentioned that name again. Some things, once broken, are broken. Anything more is just superfluous. In the special space, Huo Yuner sat in that void, the light screen in front of her having gone completely dark. The word-for-word critique, the itemized list of incidents, none of it was updating anymore. Yet her eyes remained fixed on the darkened light screen, as if trying to carve every word into her heart. Yuhao. She spoke, her voice very soft, carrying a weariness that went to the bone. Mother always thought that even though I left early and couldn't accompany you as you grew up, at least I raised you to be a good person. At least your heart was upright, and you wouldn't go astray. She paused, her fingers curling slightly. But this time, the light screen turned you inside out, and only then did Mother know, only then did I know what you truly hold in your heart. Everywhere he shows affection, is that called being romantic? That's called being irresponsible. You leave a lingering thought for every girl, yet you refuse to take true responsibility for any of them. You think this is gentleness? This isn't gentleness, this is selfishness. You never cared about the person, what you couldn't bear to lose was the kindness others showed you. You want everyone to revolve around you, while you don't have to be responsible for anyone. Her voice gradually began to tremble. Cheating in the competition, using any means necessary to win. Mother taught you to be upright in life, losing isn't shameful, but winning unfairly is. But what about you? You treat winning as more important than anything else. Whether the methods are dirty doesn't matter, whether the rules are strict doesn't matter. As long as you're the one standing on the stage in the end, you think the ugly process is only natural. And your attitude toward friends, toward the people around you. Huo Yuner closed her eyes. Although Mother doesn't have much ability, I know that people treat each other with sincerity. If someone treats you well, you should return that kindness. But what about you? You only take, never give. You offer sweet words when you need something, and when you don't, you can't even be bothered to pretend. What is this called? This is called being heartless and ungrateful. Her eyes turned red, but no tears fell. And your father? When she said these 4 words, her voice finally cracked. Huo Yuhao, your father, don't you know how that man treated your mother? Don't you know how your mother died? How much hardship did you suffer as a child? How much pain did you endure? Wasn't all of it caused by him? But after you became a god, successful and respectable, you went back in with a light, easy, I forgive you, you wiped everything away. Have you ever thought about your mother? Her voice finally rose a little. Have you ever thought about whether your mother in the afterlife would be willing to be treated this way by you? You forgave that man on her behalf, what right do you have to forgive him for her? Huo Yuner lowered her head, her shoulders trembling slightly. After a long time, she spoke again, her voice already hoarse. Perhaps, it's that Mother didn't teach you well. I left too early, couldn't watch you grow up, couldn't tell you what should be done and what shouldn't. But perhaps, some things cannot be taught. If you don't have that moral compass in your heart, even if Mother taught you for 10 or 20 years, it would be useless. She looked up, gazing at the dim light screen, her eyes filled with disappointment. That kind of disappointment was not the disappointment of a bystander toward a stranger, it was the disappointment of a mother toward her own child. This kind of disappointment is more painful than hatred, colder than anger. If there's a chance in the future, if Mother can come back to life and see you again. She said, slowly, word by word. Then Mother will definitely teach you all over again. I will peel away those twisted, crooked, dirty, and rotten things inside you, bit by bit. If you cannot be straightened out, then I will not have a son like you. She finished this sentence. Guo Yun'er sat there quietly, like a statue whose soul had been drained away. The light screen went completely dark.